Us, welcome. Uh, Today I'm going to look at the Shuto techniques. Shuto is kind of really important. We underestimate them simply because in the sporting culture of Kyokushin, namely the tournaments, you don't see them really. No one does Shuto in tournaments. But they're really good for other aspects of fighting. They're always a real surprise, and especially if your opponent has the concept of punching on with fists. Thanks for coming along. We spoke about, with the Budo Blueprint app group, we spoke about the Shuto recently and why they're really important. Hey, Chrissy, good to see you, man. And Daniel. Now, you guys who are, all you guys who normally come just for Mitch, well, I'm sorry, Mitch is in Melbourne, and being the machine that he was, for those non-Aussies, that's 2,000 kilometres away. Being the fit guy he was going to run up from Melbourne and join in, but he turned left at Ballarat and ended up in Broken Hill, so he didn't quite make the live stream. But anyway, hopefully he'll be back soon. Even Mitch has to earn a living. Russ. Good on you, Chrissy, you bully. Okay, so Shuto techniques, why are they important? Well, they're very important because of the lines of movement, especially. And those lines of movement are very clear with the Shuto, and they kind of define a lot of stuff we do. Another reason it's very important is because it teaches you the formation of the hand very well. As you can see, I'm in a different environment too. I'm actually kneeling on my knees. This is got the pool in the background there, as you can see. So it's a different environment, but I'll see how I go in this environment. So Shuto, when we make, starting with the little finger, curling in above the heart line. When you train regularly, you should develop calluses along the top above the heart line. Squeeze tight and close with the thumb. Okay? So the main way, I'm just going to wipe the sweat off my hand. The main way you make the fist strong is to squeeze out the blood. Okay? And the way you do that is by pulling the little finger, white, as you can see, is white all over the place. That means there's less and less blood in the grip. Okay? When you're young and fit and strong and training hard, you should have the fingertips above the heart line here. This is the heart line for those palm readers. Okay? As you can see, my fingers are all over the place because I'm dealing with the arthritic condition of someone my age. Not so much because of karate. Actually, I think my karate has kept my fingers very, very youthful. Both my parents and my aunties, actually not so much my dad, but my mum and my aunties all had pretty bad arthritis by the age that I am now. So thank you, regular training, for keeping my hands fairly youthful. But you've got to squeeze the fingers in tight. Well, how is that relevant to Shuto? Well, Shuto is exactly the opposite. When you make Shuto, you're actually pulling your thumb and finger together, little finger and thumb together again, but you're doing it behind the hand. So to make a strong Shuto, you pull the little finger and the thumb together this way. And when you do that, what it does is it strengthens to roll in the direction of the thumb. So the force won't enter the target, the force will roll over and damage your hand. Now, the other thing about a Shuto is, of course, we have the Shuto, which is like this, and demos and things like that. If I do my Shuto like this, my little finger, when I hit the target, my little finger, there it is. If you get a chance to go to the Marshall Way podcast, that's Terry and Todd. They do a great job, and they're episode 50 is actually very interesting because it's they're interviewing Judd Reed, and I'm just looking for it. Maybe I didn't get it after all. They're interviewing Judd Reed and Nick Pettis, and it's a great interview. They're talking about their Uchideshi days, and it's well worth listening to. So I'm just going to keep, as I talk, I can edit all this babble out later, but I'm going to look for, where are we here, Terry? There we go. Add it to the live stream chat here. I don't know how to turn that off. I'm not very good with phones. There we go, might have got it. I've added that live stream. Go and have a listen to it. It's long. And it was very interesting, and good on Nick for calling out Matsui-san and the things that they did to destroy Nick's career. And also I think Judd did a great job too, because as much as Nick is not happy with the way he was treated, and rightfully so, Judd is very loyal to Kyokushin. He runs a dojo and everything like this, so his perspective is different. And I think that their two perspectives combined is really, really very good. So anyway, get a chance to have a look at that. And also, if you're a visitor, g'day. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the bell, help me to grow the channel. The only way I can do that is word of mouth, because I don't understand how to do anything else. My daughter even does my Instagrams for me because I have no idea how to use Instagram. But anyway, let's have a quick look at Shuto technique. Okay, so let me just line this up. That's pretty good, just right there. Okay, so when we do Shuto, and forgive me, my shoulder is completely shot. So, and Shuto, this opening movement really, really taxes it. So, Shuto, remember, the fist is created by starting with the little finger, closing with the thumb, squeezing tight to squeeze the blood out. The Shuto is the opposite. The little finger and thumb pull together behind. And then I like to, rather than have the fingers straight like that, I like to fold them over. Two reasons. One is, when you do hit a hard surface, the little finger doesn't ricochet into this knuckle and damage your hands. Two is, your margin of error increases. So when I fan it like this, now the margin of error from that one to that one is that big. So if I miss with this one, I get it with that one. Miss with that one, get it with that one. Okay, so using Shuto in Tensho movement, not just the block, but also as a fanning motion across the eyes, is really, really solid. Okay, but fan it out like that. Okay, so we're here in Sanshin, Shuto. Okay, first one, Gammen Uchi. It's right in line with my eyes. Okay, it's in line with my eyes. The back arm goes backwards. It's all the way back, like you're throwing a ball. Okay, don't start with the hand here. Something like this. You want to come all the way over. The hand's all the way over here and behind. So this one is horizontal, this one is back, and it comes around. Remember, Choju Miyagi said, the hand returning to chamber contains something. So usually that means you're breaking balance. So the Shuto really works well. For example, if I'm in this situation and they attack him, if I had Mitch here, it'd be easy to see, but he's got more important things to do. I'm going to block that, look, straight out of Pinan 4, or even Pinan 2, doesn't matter, because Shuto is interchangeable with Tetsui, and coming this way, Shuto, Uraken, Tetsui, even Koken. Okay, so they're all interchangeable, depends on the damage you want to do and where you're hitting. Okay, so I'm here, the attack comes in, I'm fanning up. There's Pinan 4, and this hand, their arm, and pull it in like that, so that as you pull their arm in, you're pulling the neck right into a Shuto. Okay? I like the neck as a target as opposed to the head. Some people have really thick skulls. You hit them on the neck, it's much easier to knock them out when you hit them on the carotid sinus. The other reason is it's not as hard, so you don't hurt your hand. Pull in here, and then keep the hand going and come back with uchi-uchi. So hit, come back, and I love this combination. 1, 2, 3 with a palm heel. The palm heel following this hand is almost invisible. And if you doubt that, try it in Kumite. It doesn't really work in Kumite because there's too many rules in Kumite. But in a real situation, bang, that Shuto can even be a slap on the carotid sinus just to get their attention. Bang, and then you come back fist, Shuto, koken, follow with a palm heel. And it's very, very strong. Okay, so that's the application of this Hikite in this movement. As far as possible, and I'm going to stand so my head is right on the center of those window frames behind me. Okay, I'll get to where. So as far as possible, I don't want to move my head like this. I want to keep my head exactly where it is. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I need to work the sense of a centered spine. My head stays there. I don't even want my eyes to turn like that. It's very important. This is why Shuto is so valuable, because it teaches you all these really important fundamentals. I can't even see whether I'm doing it because I don't have my glasses on. Square to the opponent's spine. Okay? And that means even if I wedge in with my shoulder forward and back, I still have that dominant head position. Okay? So that's very important and very valuable to watch. The other thing is that with the focal length, if I turn my head, now it's very subtle, I know, but the focal length is different. So the main students to train is I start with my hands and I just start moving. See, like this? And if my arms are staying still, my head is doing this. But because my head's staying still, I need to develop that ability. Look, when I turn here, look where my head is. I'm actually looking over the shoulder. So I'm in this position and I turn without turning my head. I can't see. Please let me know if I'm doing it wrong. What do we got here? Us. Todd. Hey, Mike Clark. Us. Good to see you, man. Okay, so now I've got my glasses on, I'll be able to tell whether I'm actually doing it. See, like, oh, I'm not doing it too bad, for an old bloke. Okay, so I want to get that idea of moving my shoulders without my head turning. Okay, and that's something you have to work on, because if you don't do that, then what's going to happen is you start to turn your head every time you do basics. And you don't want that. You want your head sitting on top of the spine so that when you do the techniques, your head stays exactly still. Exactly still. You have to be like a Star Wars clone in that respect. Okay, so I'll take my glasses off again. Now that I've confirmed I'm halfway there. Okay, so Shuto, horizontal, across the temple, across the eyes, or I like to bring it in across the carotid sinus on the neck. You get a good whack on the neck like that, it's really going to have a good solid effect. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. The camera angle always makes it look funny, but where do I finish? I hit here, finish there. So it's like golf. The ball is there, I hit the ball, but I don't stop at the target. What I do is I carry through the target. Well, it's the same with the Shuto. When I'm here like this, I hit here, but carry all the way through. But it has to be tempered. I can't spin around and lose control. It has to carry through, but with control, so that if you're in a situation, you're able to come back to default position. Okay, so the first one, the hand across the body, that simulates a block, A block, and a hit. Block, and a hit, like that, okay? That's the Shuto, Gammen, Uchi. It's interesting, we talk about Tetsui, Komekami. Komekami is Japanese for the temple. So Tetsui, Komekami, we hit to the temple. Probably because hitting to the neck is a little bit trickier. Okay, I always like to do Tetsui too, to the back of the jaw. So if you pull the head down and hit backwards, and you're actually hitting at that angle, okay, which probably would have the effect of dislocating the jaw, but I'm not going to say that because I've actually never done it to anyone. And you know the golden rule, if I haven't done it, I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, but Tetsui Komekami goes to the temple. Shuto Gammen Uchi. Gammen is the face or head. Okay, so Shuto Gammen Uchi means that we can hit anywhere. You can hit here, and especially you can hit the neck because of the thinness of the weapon as opposed to the thinness of the weapon here. Okay, it may well be that you don't get the Tetsui all the way in. Okay, coming this way doesn't matter because of that angle of the hit there. Tetsui Shuto this way, or even Uraken. Very explosive, unwinding technique. You'll get more power here than you will here. Okay, so the second one is Tetsui Sakots. Sakots. Sakots is Japanese for the clavicle or the collarbone. And we're striking down on the collarbone. Now, does it work? I don't know. But it certainly would be a surprise to somebody if you knock their hands down and hit the sakotsu like that. The other thing I like about this is if you want to know techniques that are pretty dangerous, well, then you look at MMA and you look at the rules of MMA, and one of the things you're not allowed to do is a vertical elbow strike. Okay, they funk it and they fudge it, but a vertical elbow strike, if you pull their head down and bring that elbow down on the spine, it could be pretty dangerous. Well, look, that's the Shuto. So the power of the Shuto is in the elbow. I have to be real careful because even as I do that, I'll go left hand. The power of the Shuto is in the elbow leading in and then the hand following. Drop, knock down, push forward. So, in terms of basics, 1, 2. Always, all basics, all Kihon are focused on center lines, whether it's the primary center line here or the secondary center line here. Okay, you want to aim things at or through the center line. So 1, look, you can start it exactly the same as Shuto Gammen Uchi. From there you can't see. Notice my bad elbow, my bad shoulder means I can't get my arm fully around. 1, 2. 1, 2. So the starting position is the same. The starting position for this, and Hizo-uchi, this are all the same. Okay, so that's a really important point to work on. There, all the same. Okay, so Sakotsu is the vertical plane. We're working down on the clavicle, but we come down the center line. So we've gone horizontal plane. Now we're going vertical plane. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Now, Sakotsu Uchikomi. Uchikomi. What's the difference between an uchi, atsuki, and uchikomi? Right now the weather's great, Jeff. It's summer. We went through a hot spell. Now we're going through a cold spell. So it's not too bad. And my pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for coming along. Is there an emphasis put on the Hikite? Yeah, there's an emphasis on the Hikite always, Sensei Mike.
Unknown caller.
There's just so popular. All these unknown callers, you pick it up, and it's, hello, my name is Stephen. Yeah. But anyway, the Hikite, yes, we're always working on the Hikite, mainly because we're working on the idea of grabbing and pulling them into the strike, Sensei Mike. we work the Hikite. We are taught to work the Hikite to develop the cross-body arcs of tension. Some people say it adds speed. I'm not too sure about that. I think it can add balance. Even when I teach guys to throw punches. One, and if I work the hook, I have this feeling here. So we used to work this idea of the circular motion. The circular motion. Here's the punch, here's the Hikite. So the Hikite, and when you get that connection in the rip here, see this? We get guys to start the rips like the discus throwing statue. Boom, here. And then when you get that, then you develop the same arc of tension connection between the right shoulder, left shoulder, right knee, through the spine without necessarily doing the high elbow Hikite circular motion connection there. You just come here, there instead. Well, it's the same with those Shuto. When we work Shuto, we work the Hikite, but we don't necessarily need it to make it work. It may be that we block and simultaneously strike there, or block, simultaneously strike there. Okay, so good question. There's always controversy over the Hikite. What does it mean? Does it add power? Well, if it adds power to someone, well then good on. Generally speaking, I like to refer to Chojun Miyagi's statement that if the hand returns to chamber, it has something in it. Namely, use that Hikite to break balance. And the whole concept of dirty boxing, if you can imagine, you get someone's head in your hand and you're putting them into the punch, bang, bang, like that. Well, that's, I think, far more effective in terms of damage than not grabbing something, pulling the hand back like that. It's just my strange way of explaining it. Okay, so we're here, we're coming down. Sakotsu uchi is a strike, uchi komi is a thrust, tsuki is a punch. The main difference, tsuki, the concept of tsuki is you penetrate through the target to the spine. Uchi is a strike, you don't penetrate so far, but it's a speed technique more than a power technique, and uchikomi simply means a driving thrust. So it can very well mean that instead of trying to break, it can be a stop. And I love that. And when we do Taikyoku kata, for example, let me drop this down. There are two ways that Taikyoku are done in Kyokushin. The first one is here, and this hand remains there. The other way is one, and then the hand comes up. And I've heard people say that's kind of stupid. Well, it's not. I actually love it because I've used it. I've used it in a real situation where I'm under pressure, step back, drive my hand right into their face, shuffle through and hit. Okay, so that driving hand, that thrusting hand, you would say in Japanese, that thrusting hand is uchikomi, just like sakotsu uchikomi, as opposed to uchi, thrusting forward. So I'm there like that, I'm thrusting forward like that, and throwing the punch. Well, it's the same with you. That can be uchikomi. The Shuto can be used that way. I remember when I fought in the over 40s world tournament, in my semi-final fight, I used this exact technique because you had head guards on and big gloves and everything, but there was no real glove here. So what I was doing was, as I'd fight my opponent, as he got close to the edge of the ring, I would drive his palm up underneath his deltoid here and drive back. So if you want an opponent to go backwards, you hit them above their heart, so it pushes them back. If you want an opponent to go down, well, then you hit them below the diaphragm. So anyway, that has application. It's not necessarily that you're trying to use that to break the clavicle. And if you do, well, good on you, great. But I would tend to think that the more practical application is I'm driving in, I'm driving them back so they start to go backwards, and then you drive. I've done exactly that technique to very devastating effect. Okay, the other thing too is you can drive in, but drive with a collar tie. So now I drive in, pull their head back in, just like we have in some kata, where we turn around like that. Is it Seienshin maybe? But anyway, the more to the point is at the end of Seienshin, yes. So that Hikite can hold something, pull it in. And this Sakotsu Uchi can drive them back. It's not necessarily a Sakotsu Uchikomi. Uchikomi tells you that it's a thrusting, driving technique. It may not be designed to so much try and hurt them as reach out and grab them. So I'm thrusting out and I'm pulling them back in. I've got their head here and I can start to do this sort of thing. Okay. Having said that, you can turn that thrust into a palm heel, and that palm heels really work very nicely, and they're safe to your hand. Oh, smoke. Yes, I think so. The big Hikite is a training tool, introduction if you like, but not a vital part. Yes, 100%. You know, one of the great joys of life is when Sensei Mike Clark confirms something I've said. And I know I've said something wrong, that he's very polite, he's very quiet. But anyway, thank you, Sensei Mike. So here we are again. Let me just take this down a little more. So now what we're looking at is we've done the thrust. It's just like a punch, except we're doing it with a knife hand. And that's very important because some people turn the hand too far over. We're not turning the hand over like that. We're keeping the hand there. So when you push that target, and especially if you push underneath the deltoid, the narrow hand will penetrate under the deltoid better than the palm on the shoulder. If all you want to do is push them back, that's fine. Do it how you like. Okay, the next one is Hizo Uchi. Hizo in Japanese is the spleen. Where's the spleen? Well, it sits under the heart. Okay, and it's a little sack of goo. And damaging that sack of goo, there's a lot of nerves attached to it. It can literally stop the strongest fighter in their tracks. Okay, on the right side, we have the liver, and that's the same. There's so many nerves leading to the liver that just a little bit of an impact, and we've all heard of the liver shot. Well, in karate, we also work the spleen shot, which is, in boxing, they call it hit under the heart. And I've heard it explained in boxing that by hitting under the heart, you kind of disrupt the heartbeat. You think about that, that's why when you can't do CPR on someone whose heart rhythm is healthy and natural, because you can upset the heart rhythm. So it makes sense when they say a good hit under the heart can momentarily disrupt the smooth heartbeat, which can affect the fighter's ability to breathe and contribute to his loss of stamina, if you like. The other reason, though, is the spleen and the way the spleen can be affected by that impact. Now, it's called Hizouchi simply because rather than the Kanzouchi, the Kanzo is the liver, the Kanzo is probably more around the side here, so that's why we drop it in like that. But the Hizouchi, you can bring it more forward like that. So the Hizouchi, this is why Shuto serve as a reflection on things, because there's the target, the Hizo underneath the heart, but you carry through to the belt line on the opposite side of the body. So the correct way to do this technique in that respect is across here. Once again, the starting point is the same as Shuto Gamme Uchi. It's the same as Shuto Hizo Uchi. It's the same as Hizo Uchi. And I pull the hand, I hit, and I carry through all the way to the opposite side. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Forgive my technique, I can tell it's not right, but I'm really under a little bit of pressure from a very painful shoulder and elbow. 1, look, underneath, big circle round, 2, 1, 2. I remember when I was at Hombu training, started training at Hombu, and my instructor at the time, Hiroshige Senpai, said, when you do it, try to do it like you feel the blood pooling. So he said, you want your fingertips tingling. You do it so fast. You get the technique, and you want the blood rushing to your fingertips. And when you do 50 or 100, you get that sensation of the technique so fast that the blood pools to the fingertips. So remember, there's the target, there's the carry through. There's the target, there's the carry through. 1, hit, 2. 1, hit, 2. Like that. Okay? Now the last sto is uchi uchi, just like we have in English, the bough of a tree and a bough in the dojo. They're pronounced exactly the same, but they're two completely different words. Or same in Japanese. The uchi strike and the uchi inside are completely different words, completely different kanji, but pronounced exactly the same. So we have 2 ways of describing this technique. One is where it's going to. So some techniques like agouchi, it's a strike to the jaw. That's why it's called agouchi, or komekami, a strike to the temple. We can call this one shito kubi uchi, okay, because we're striking the neck, or we strike the carotid sinus here. Or we can call it uchi uchi, which is inside strike. Okay, this is one of my favorite techniques simply because if I'm in a situation and someone throws a technique, I knock that technique down. My arm is now protecting my head, so if he does a 1-2, I knock the first one, and the second one is blocked, and then straight back. So the block actually sets you up for the punch in a very safe way. Look, come here like that. See? There, knock their hand away, boom, and come back. So, we're here, 1. This hand stays forward and square, the head stays steady. Lead with the elbow, take the hand out. I strike on that side of the head, I carry through to that side. 1, 2, 1, 2. See my front hand? Watch how it doesn't move as I come through. 1, 2. 1. See the hand stays there? 2. My head also stays as still as possible. And I unwind. My shoulder comes forward first. There. I don't bring the hand there and unwind as I do the technique. You're actually taking force out of the technique. I want to wrap that protects the jaw and the neck, just like in Shuto Mawashiuke, just like in Mawashiuke, and just like in Ankei Gyaksuki. This part here is everything about protection. 1. Okay, well, it's the same here with Shuto. 1. I need to protect this weak area. Okay, all violent animals, when they attack their opponent, they attack the neck. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, the other thing you'll see commonly, which is an error, is the wrist bending up and down this way. So from the side, people will go here. See my wrist bent? You don't want that. The wrist stays aligned here always. The fist is straight. The wrist is straight. Where it does turn is this way. Okay, so the wrist pops that way, not that way. So you'll see some people go like this, and that's very wrong. You want the hand to stay, the wrist to stay integrated that way to protect the wrist. There. But it can go sideways that way to get optimal impact. There. You see the wrist is straight here, and that's very, very important. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like that. Well, it is. I mean, I don't do weapons, but it's not because I have an aversion to it. I just don't have time. But I can see the incredible value of, I did kendo at school in Japan for 1 year, and I enjoyed it very much, and that extended into some sword work and everything, but I stopped. But I saw the value of that, and I know some people love to do weapons with their karate, particular bow, and I can understand incredibly how working the bow will give you an incredible sense of connection, because everything you do now is two hands doing it. And this is really valuable for karate, because when you start doing things with one hand, you start to break down the leverage of the body. So, I'm sure there's probably a lot of things looks like a sword stroke. But shto literally means the sword, the hand sword. Shu is another way of saying te. So karate, interestingly, you could call it kushu. So that's why if you think of Chinese, the way Chinese say karate is tang su, or, that's the old kanji for karate, but the word te in Chinese is su. And so what you have is shto, su, to, knife, hand. To is a sword. Tanto, bokuto, wooden sword, okay? Sword, to is sword. So anyway, there you have it. So we have shto gamen uch, sakotsu uch komi, hizo uch across the body into the spleen, and on the other side, of course, the liver. So the whole idea is you're attacking the floating ribs, and uchi, striking the neck. Okay, anything that allows you to strike the neck is a good technique. Even when you're wrestling, bang, you do those strong slaps across the neck to disorient them, because of all the nerves running and so on running up the side of the body. So they're the shto techniques. Shto gamen uch, sakotsu uch, shto sakotsu uch komi, shto hizo uch, and shto uchi uch or shto kubi uch. They're the main techniques that we do in basics. I love the kubi uch or shto uchi uch simply because you can turn that into a strong back fist, you can turn it into a koken, and you can follow straight away with a palm heel or a punch straight up into the jaw, and it's kind of hidden. 1, 2, okay. Yeah, look, I think Sosai really got that, probably to his detriment in some people's eyes, Mike, in that Judd and Nick, I just watched that episode 50 of The Martial Way today, and Judd and Nick were saying that at Hombu, and they're 100% right, the training was 80% Kihon, whether it was Kihon or Ido Kihon, standing basics or moving basics. The fact was that all the training was in basics, and that can be, that to a pro fighter, that can seem very detrimental, because in terms of the said principle, specific adaptation to imposed demand, if you really want to get good at fighting, well then you change your technique and move around, and none of that went on so much in Hombu. They're very right. It went on, guys would do their own training away from general training, and they'd work together, and then there was some kumite. Nick and Judd were there in the 90s. I mean, even in the 70s, it was even less so. The only kumite really done by anyone the only kumite training done was actually in the class. So it was kind of very, very much focused on Kihon. And Sosai I think Sosai's message was, I'll keep telling you how important this stuff is until you get it yourself. And he just never stopped emphasizing the importance of Kihon. But I think that's a really beautiful thing, because it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's karate or whether it's Olympic rowing, or even I know when I go cycling,